August 1st, 1944. A dusty hedgerow near Tessy-sur-Vire, Normandy, France. The morning air is thick, not just with humidity, but with the cloying stench of burnt diesel and cordite. Sunlight struggles to penetrate the low, rolling smoke lingering over the bocage. Inside the turret of his Panzerkampfwagen 4 Ausfenjai, Oberleutnant Klaus Richter wipes sweat from his brow, his eyes glued to the periscope. The heat inside the steel coffin is suffocating, but the tension is worse. They have been waiting for 2 hours, engines ticking over, listening to the incessant, distant thump-thump of American artillery softening the sector. Suddenly a metallic shriek splits the air, the sound of an engine under stress, struggling with thick mud. Richter's gunner, Unteroffizier Erich Kraus, inhales sharply. Oberleutnant, Kraus whispers, the word barely audible over the Pacific 4's internal din. Movement, left flank, coming through the copse. Richter adjusts his periscope. Out of the gloom emerge the squat, familiar silhouettes of enemy armor, 3 M4 Shermans. They move clumsily, rocking and weaving over the uneven earth, their tall profiles an insult to Richter's tactical eye. He remembers the first time he saw a captured Sherman in Tunisia. The tank was an immediate source of derisive laughter among his veteran crew. Its vertical armor, its high chassis, its puny 75mm gun. It looked like a compromise, a factory rush job, not a serious combat vehicle. They called it the Ronson, because, like the lighter company's slogan, it seemed to light up the first time, every time. 3 of the Americans' tin cans, Eric, Richter says, his voice flat with professional disdain, though a knot of anxiety remains. Wait for the lead tank to clear the bend. We will engage from 900 meters. Turret traverse, 11 o'clock, armor-piercing capped. The Shermans, oblivious to the hidden German giant, close the distance. They are the standard M4A1 variant, its rounded, cast hull offering a slight advantage in ballistic shape, but nothing to challenge the long 7.5cm Kolike 40 gun of Richter's Panzer IV. Wait. The word hammers inside Richter's helmet. Wait. The lead Sherman, commanded by a captain he will never know, rolls into a patch of clear visibility. Its 75mm barrel is angled tentatively toward the next rise. Fire! The Panzer IV roars, a deafening concussion that momentarily vibrates the earth. The projectile streaks across the gap and impacts the Sherman's lower glacis plate. There is a flash of brilliant orange and a shower of molten steel. The impact is catastrophic. The Sherman shudders violently, smoke billowing immediately from the point of entry, followed almost instantly by a spectacular ignition of the fuel and ammunition. The turret hatch pops open, and a crewman, already wreathed in flames, scrambles out and falls dead onto the mud. Hit! Lead tank destroyed, shouts Kraus. The German crew exchanges quick, satisfied grins. One more. But the other 2 Shermans have not scattered. They have deployed a thick, coordinated smoke screen and are now traversing their turrets, attempting to locate the source of the lethal shot. Through the dissipating smoke, Richter sees them. 2 targets, close together, already angling their hulls aggressively towards the last known position. One of them is already firing blindly into the hedgerows, a high explosive round kicking up dirt 50 meters to the German's right. Kraus, quickly! Second target, hull down behind the small rise. Load another APC, Richter commands, his previous relaxed attitude gone. The gun breech snaps shut. Kraus reports, ready. Fire! The second shot misses, passing narrowly over the Sherman's turret. The American tank returns fire instantly. This time, it is not a blind shot. An M4 round strikes the forward upper glacis of the Panzer IV. The impact is less a penetration than a jarring punch. The thin-skinned American shell spalls harmlessly, sending only a brief ringing vibration through the hull. Richter laughs, a short, sharp bark of pure contempt. It tickles us. See, Eric, it's a toy. But as he settles down to line up the next shot, the shot that will kill the second Sherman, a new sound registers. A terrifying, rhythmic clanking and rumbling from the right, the sound of heavy metal on thick tracks. Richter spins his head to the radio operator. Where is that noise coming from, Funker Carl? Sir, it sounds like more tanks. Too many. They are coming through the field near the river. Richter returns to his periscope, desperately scanning the right flank, his heart beginning to pound a heavy, frantic rhythm. Peeking over the high, wet grass, he sees them. Not 3. Not 5. but an endless olive-drab column rumbling forward with chilling indifference. They are moving with the casual, unstoppable momentum of a factory assembly line turned into a military column. 8-10. 12 Shermans, M4s, M4A3s, their hulls angled, their short guns glinting. The sight is less a tactical problem and more a physical, horrifying revelation. An endless, disposable sea of steel, all pointed straight at them. The numbers are an attack in themselves. The joke about the Ronson suddenly sounds hollow. They might be poor tanks, but there are so many of them. Inside the turret of the Panzer IV, the air suddenly feels toxic. Oberleutnant Richter isn't just seeing 12 tanks, he is seeing the industrial might of a nation that has barely felt the sting of strategic bombing, a nation whose factories run 24 hours a day, spitting out these utilitarian, perfectly adequate war machines. This is not the measured, tactical engagement they were trained for. This is a flood. Reverse, full reverse, Richter roars into the intercom, slapping the commander's shoulder with urgency. We are relocating immediately. They are enveloping us. Fahrer Max Becker slams the gear into reverse, and the Panzer IV lurches backward, its wide tracks churning the earth, crushing the fragile hedgerow brush. But the movement is slow, agonizingly slow. The weight of the tank, a protective necessity, is now a terrible liability against the speed of the American response. Richter scans the river of oncoming Shermans again. Two of them, realizing the Panzer is retreating, break formation and accelerate, their tracks kicking up rooster tails of mud. They aren't maneuvering skillfully, they are simply driving straight toward the German position, relying on simple arithmetic. Two tanks, working together, firing rapidly against one highly skilled but isolated German target. Kraus, traverse right, the lead chaser. Engage before he closes to 500 meters. Richter commands. Kraus swings the heavy 7.5 centimeters barrel with practiced speed. The lead Sherman is now less than 700 meters away, its gun spitting smoke as it fires on the move. Clang! Another shell strikes the front plate of Richter's Panzer, the shockwave blurring his vision for a split second. It's the same weak, ineffective round, but the frequency is terrifying. The Americans are firing 3 shells for every one the German crew can load and fire, overwhelming them with suppressive fire. Target locked! Firing! Kraus shouts. Crack! The long-barreled German round impacts the Sherman. The American tank stumbles like a punch-drunk fighter, its engine sputtering as a hole opens in its hull. It ceases moving, its turret stopping mid-traverse. Another kill. Richter allows himself less than a breath of relief. The second chaser is now barely 400 meters away and still accelerating. Worse, the main column of Shermans has continued its inexorable advance, shifting its focus from simple retreat prevention to surrounding the German position. They are moving into the trees, utilizing their higher profile to fire over the lower foliage. Becker! Push it! Faster! We have to get behind the church! Richter shouts, pointing toward a small stone spire a kilometer to the east. The church offers the only reliable hard cover in the flat, open terrain. As the Panzer IV strains backward, the second chasing Sherman stops and fires a series of 3 rounds in rapid succession. Clang! 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 One shell strikes the side of the hull near the suspension, sending fragments flying inside the vehicle, but failing to penetrate the thick steel. The next 2 strike the turret, deafening the crew, causing lights to flicker, and chipping away the morale of the veteran tank crew, one impact at a time. The cumulative punishment is beginning to tell. They don't care about the risk, whispers Funker Karl, clutching his headset. They just keep coming. Richter understands exactly what he means. In the desperate final years of the war, every German Panzer IV crewman knows that if his tank is destroyed, getting a replacement is a bureaucratic nightmare, often leading to months of waiting. For the Americans, this is a disposable vehicle, an inventory item. The sacrifice of 1 Sherman, or even 3, is an acceptable loss in exchange for eliminating one of the few high-quality German tanks blocking their advance. The truth is brutal. American factories produced over 49,000 Shermans between 1942 and 1945. Germany produced just over 6,000 Panzer IVs in total throughout the entire war, and only about 1,300 of the much-feared Tiger I heavy tanks. This wasn't a tank fight. It was a duel between a precision-crafted hunting rifle and a full-auto machine gun spraying bullets with reckless abandon. The numerical superiority represented a critical, overwhelming operational doctrine. Quantity is a quality all its own. Richter watches a third Sherman, rolling through the gap created by the first two kills, take aim and fire. The shell whizzes past the Panzer's antenna, missing by inches. They are out of time. The Panzer IV jolts violently as the driver, Becker, finally manages to swing the heavy machine into a right turn, aiming for the relative safety of the dense tree line beyond the church spire. The move is desperate. They are presenting their vulnerable side armor, only 30 millimeter thick, to the rapidly closing column of Shermans. "Traverse! Traverse right! Maximum rate of fire!" Richter screams. Kraus, sweating and shaking from the concussion, jams another round into the breach. He fires at the closest Sherman, a rapid burst of smoke and thunder. The round strikes the front idler wheel, tearing away the American tank's track. The Sherman slews sideways, immobilized, its crew now panicked and struggling to return fire. Third Sherman neutralized, Kraus reports, his voice high with strain, but for every Sherman immobilized or destroyed, 2 more appear. The relentless nature of the assault is eroding the German crew's concentration. They are veteran tankers, disciplined and hardened by years of war, but their training focused on quality over quantity. Precision ambushes, defensive fire lanes, and utilizing the superior range and armor of their Panzer to dictate the terms of engagement. They were never meant to fight a swarm. Oberleutnant Richter finally understands the strategic terror of American logistics. He recalls the endless, tedious paperwork involved in sourcing a single replacement part for the Tiger Y, a few millimeters of specialized steel, a replacement optical sight, all dependent on fragile supply lines hammered by Allied air power. The German army valued the individual tank, treating each one like a precious, irreplaceable commodity. The American army, he now realizes, treated the Sherman like a robust, mass-produced tool. He remembers the intelligence reports from the Oberkommando der Wehrmacht, OKW, dismissing the Sherman's initial performance. The 75mm gun was deemed inadequate against the frontal armor of the Panzer IV and the Tiger. The gasoline engine made it prone to catastrophic fires, and its tall profile made it an easy target. All of this was technically true. But these tactical deficiencies were utterly negated by the sheer scale of production rolling out of Detroit, Michigan, and Lima, Ohio. While German engineers were developing complex, highly specialized behemoths like the Tiger II, the Americans were perfecting the mass manufacture of the good-enough tank. The Americans don't need to penetrate the frontal armor, Richter thinks grimly, peering out at the growing field of olive-drab hulls. They only need to saturate the target area until they hit a weak point or overwhelm the crew with psychological trauma. A loud, piercing alarm sounds inside the Panzer IV. "Smoke! Engine compartment! Smoke!" shouts Feuerbecker. "We took a hit on the rear grille. Oil leak, I think." Ritter's stomach clenches. They have lost speed. Their retreat is now crippled. The church spire is still 400 meters away. "Funk Karl, get the coordinates to regiment. Report heavy enemy armor. Request immediate air support or counterattack." Karl furiously taps the radio key, but the static is heavy. The Americans are using tactical jamming, and their own heavy artillery fire is destroying German communication lines. "Sir, no signal. The Americans are too close." Richter makes the decision instantly. They cannot run. They must fight where they stand, using the Panzer IV's final few minutes of mobility to find a hull-down position behind a small mound of earth. "Stop! Gunner! Turn 9 o'clock! Engage the column's flank! Let us make them pay for every tin can they throw at us." The Panzer IV grinds to a halt, positioning its thickest armor toward the enemy. They have killed 3 Shermans, a respectable toll. Now, a minimum of 10 Shermans are converging on them. They fire almost simultaneously. The sound is a monstrous crash, followed by a series of high-pitched metallic shrieks as shell after shell strikes the German tank. The Panzer IV, one of the finest medium tanks in the world, rocks violently, the interior filling with dust and smoke like a bell being relentlessly struck by dozens of hammers. The war of quality versus quantity has reached its brutal, inevitable conclusion. The air inside the Panzer IV is no longer merely hot, it is choking, a mixture of unspent propellant, burning oil, and vaporized metal. Oberleutnant Richter shields his eyes as sparks fly from the turret ring, where the cumulative stress of multiple impacts is beginning to deform the steel. He is deafened by the ringing in his ears. "Report," he coughs, his voice ragged. Unteroffizier Kraus slumps against the recoil guard, blood trickling from a cut above his eye. "Loader is down, sir. Shrapnel. The mantlet is jammed. We cannot traverse the gun." The worst has happened. The thick, cast steel mantlet protecting the powerful KWK-40 gun, the only weapon capable of keeping this horde at bay, has been bent and seized by a heavy-caliber impact, likely a lucky shot from one of the Shermans now pouring down fire. The superior German weapon is now fixed in place, unable to aim at the moving targets. Outside, the sheer volume of incoming fire is overwhelming. The Shermans are not aiming for precision. They are aiming for the Panzer IV's silhouette, relying on the statistical probability of a critical hit. One Sherman is firing high-explosive HE rounds to disrupt the crew, while another fires armor-piercing AP rounds aimed at weak points. The cacophony of incoming fire is incessant, a drumming that screams of superior numbers and unending ammunition. Richter looks down at the motionless body of his loader, Feldwebel Hans, then at Funker Karl, who is frantically trying to retrieve a fire extinguisher. The operational efficiency that defined the German Panzerwaffe, the rapid reloading, the precise targeting, the coordinated movement, is shattering under the pressure of American industrial warfare. Richter lifts his binoculars to the periscope. He doesn't see individual Shermans anymore, but a wall of metal. Their tall, awkward profiles no longer elicit laughter. They represent the terrifying reality of the American war machine. While the Tiger I was a magnificent feat of engineering, it required 300,000 man-hours to produce. The Sherman took less than 15,000. For every single Tiger produced, the Allies could build 20 Shermans. This wasn't merely a disparity in armor or firepower. It was a fundamental difference in strategic thinking that Germany, locked into a philosophy of qualitative superiority, had catastrophically misjudged. The first sign of the end is a sickening, grinding sound from below the Panzer IV's hull. "Track!" screams Feuerbecker. "We lost the right track. We are completely immobilized." The Panzer IV is now a fixed target, a metal monument awaiting execution. Richter knows he has only moments left. He yanks the secondary fire extinguisher off its mounting. "Prepare to abandon. Becker, attempt to prime the scuttling charge. If we cannot have it, they will not." But before Becker can respond, a final, catastrophic shot finds its mark. It is a penetrating hit, likely from a flank angle where the armor was thinnest. Perhaps a newer, more potent, high-velocity armor-piercing, HVAP round introduced to counter the thicker German armor. There is no clang this time, only a blinding incandescent flash and a shriek of tortured metal. The penetrating shell rips through the fighting compartment. The resulting fire is immediate and explosive. Fuel vapor ignites instantly. Oberleutnant Richter feels a searing heat wash over him before his world dissolves into noise and agonizing light. The hatch is ripped open by Unteroffizier Kraus, who drags the dazed Richter out and tumbles onto the dusty earth, just as the ammunition rack inside the Panzer IV detonates, turning the hulking machine into a pillar of roaring flame and thick, black smoke. Richter, gasping for air, lying in the mud, watches the column of olive-drab Shermans continue their inexorable advance past the burning wreck. They don't even slow down. The single potent German tank is gone, and the American operational objective has been met. The individual German soldier, the finest in the world, could not defeat the American assembly line. It was the ultimate weapon Germany could not counter.